Hello, everyone, and welcome to Four Lads Had a Dream podcast. My name is Stevie Clifford. I know what you're all thinking. Where is Andrew? Where is Kenny? Both of them are out on this fine Easter Sunday. I hope everybody's having a lovely Easter weekend. Lots of chocolate to be had by all, I'm sure. As you know, being a complete athlete, don't touch any chocolate or something like that. Wee bit of breaking news tonight. I think it was worth coming on, and what I want to do on this kind of channel is just bring me updates like this, if we do get the opportunity to do it. And basically, yeah, give you wee up for memberships and stuff. And I feel like when there's breaking news like this, we should come on and have a chat about it. So I'm just going to try and do this myself and kind of talk you through tonight. Chris Jack has put out an article for the Rangers Review, which I'm part of. And it's basically a Rangers takeover update. Chris Jack on the deal myth, he's busted. So in recent weeks, there's been discussions that the takeover has perhaps stalled, or it has ran into problems, or it's not as far along as people are saying. And, speculation from certain quarters, that's all I'll say, is trying to play down the fact that this isn't going to happen, a fake over as such. Andrew Kavanagh, as you know, the American healthcare tycoon who is fronting this, along with Parag Marathi of Leeds United chairman, kind of backed by the kind of 49ers group in the background to all this. They've been at several games already, along with Steinson, the kind of director of football as such of that group. So they've all been there and they've watched it. This is incredibly far down the road. We previously told you that where it is that it would be basically with lawyers and things at the moment. That hasn't changed. And I had said mid-May to end of May was expected from my point of view. Now, just to talk, I know that in the past, Four Lads and myself have been really good with kind of breaking news and kind of signing stuff. I'm not in the know to this at all. I am not close to the boardroom, never have been. And I don't know where this is. I work extremely close. I believe that he's the best journalist for breaking news, and there is a few really good ones. Chris is certainly up there. Excuse me. And we work together on stories like this. This is all Chris's story. Won the Rangers Review tonight. So let's just go through it. Chris starts and he says, Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers enterprise have finalised a route that will secure a 51% controlling interest in Rangers as the Ibrox takeover deal moves closer to completion. American healthcare tycoon Kavanagh since October in a bid to reach a consensus to herald in a sweeping regime change ahead of the new campaign. And those talks, which have included 49ers chief Para Marathi, I hope that's right, you know what I'm like, folks, I apologise if that's not, are now close to being finalised as the legal process is worked through ahead of a handover of. It is understood an announcement is still several weeks away. Reports in recent days suggested that former director Sandy Easdale held a potentially decisive say in the takeover as Kavanagh and Marathi sought to secure enough shares to give them the boardroom power, the power base that they require. The Rangers Review and Chris Jack understands that Easdale's stake in RIFC PLC, which now reportedly stands at 2.25%, is not needed for the deal to be completed, however, and suggestions that there is a snag in the takeover are wide of the mark as all parties work towards a completion date. The Rangers Review previously outlined that the deal could be finalised late next month. So that goes back to what we spoke about, just myself and Kenny, I think it was, on Friday night's podcast, where we expect the outcome of this takeover to be the end of May. And that's kind of what that's suggesting there. Again, that comes from working with Chris in the Rangers Review, and they're people that I trust. So it goes on to say, source close to negotiation told Rangers Review, talks have been ongoing since October to get enough shareholders on board to ensure that the 51% mark can be reached after a new funding issue. The 51% is secured. It is only the legals and regulatory approvals that are holding things up. Now, again, folks, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about with it being with lawyers and first drafts and everything being looked at. That's basically where we are. It's like buying a house. You get an agreement in place and things like that, and then you do you do all your kind of legal stuff, and that's basically where we are. Nobody close to this deal is going to be discussing this. People wanting updates or thinking we might get massive updates ahead of fans forums and things like that. I don't think that's possible. Not while a non-disclosure order and things like over a takeover like this is in place. They won't discuss these kind of things. I'm not expecting news soon. I hope it does. It'd be brilliant if it does, but I'm not expecting it. It goes on to say Marath is the chairman of Leeds United and looks set to be celebrating promotion. Leeds are on level with Burnley and could secure the return to top flight at Stoke City on Monday. I think that means if Burnley were to beat Sheffield United, then with just 6 points to play, I think Leeds would be 8 clear of third and would go up. That's not to say that they wouldn't win the title, but they would definitely be one of the top 2 positions. As we previously spoke about as well, it says this situation has no bearing on the Rangers deal, however. The fate of United will not impact 49ers Enterprise involvement in Ibrox, and the takeover agreement is not contingent on what unfolds in the final fixtures of that Leeds United campaign. Former Ibrox chairman Dave King will sell his major shareholding as he ends his 25-year association as a board member. John Bennett will also offload the estate to give the American consortium around 20% of the shares in RIFC plc. The remaining shares that are acquired will be accumulated through percentage deals with a handful of investors and future right issue as a new power brokers prepare to make significant investments on and off the field. As previously reported by Rangers Review, significant changes around the top table are expected as familiar faces at Ibrox make way for the new regime. To explain that, the way I understand it is basically if you've got the likes of the Parks and the likes of Alistair Joy, all the shareholders, they're going to sell bits of their percentage. So say the Parks own, I think, Parks maybe own, say it's around about 10%. I don't have the figures to hand, I'm sorry about that. So they'll maybe sell 6%, leaving them 3-4% or whatever. Most of the shareholders will do that to help the over get to around 51%, which is where they want. That's their aim. That's them in complete control and stake. And it also means as well, this is key, a future rights issue. As soon as they go in, they will purchase a number of new shares, which will dilute the old shareholding, but allow them to put money straight into the football club, which again is key. Because you cannot just manufacture, as we've seen clubs getting into trouble. You're not allowed to just pay in millions of pounds into clubs and then go and spend it in transfer market. If everybody was allowed that, then the richest teams in the world, just look at Newcastle, for example, where they were taken over by the millionaires there. They couldn't fling money at it, although they have spent, granted, but they haven't been able to fling the amounts of money that, say, a Man City or Chelsea did years and years ago, thanks to fair play, financial regularities and stuff like that. They can't do that here either because we play in Europe. So that kind of clears up that, or maybe not clear it up as such, but gives you an idea of what is expected to happen. Significant changes around the top table. We know that. I think that's quite clear. I'd be really surprised if that didn't happen. I think it will. You might see somebody like Steinson work really closely till the club is stabilised, till a new sport director, new manager, and all that kind of thing is in. He might have an overseeing view of that and then go back to his current role. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened in the slightest. The article finishes, it goes on to say, King told Rangers Review in February how the multi-million-pound deal would be his parting gift to his fellow fans as he outlined the role he played in ensuring Kavanagh and the 49ers will take to control the club a decade after he, John Gilligan and Paul Murray won the Boardroom war that saw Easdale and his brother James side with Mike Ashley. Given that the club had made it clear that I had no further role to play, I thought it would be fit and legacy. I sought out potential investors that met my criteria who could buy out some of the existing shareholders, such as me, who no longer have a role to play, and then inject new funds to become a new anchor shareholder, Dave King said. As he detailed, the beginning of the process will lead to a deal being signed and sealed after several months of high-level negotiations. Such an investor would also need to be acceptable to supporters, to have appropriate skill set to take our unique club forward. Extremely unlike Scotland, which is why I pulled into the regime all those years ago. Kavanagh has been a regular at Ibrox as the deal has progressed and travelled to Glasgow to watch first leg Europa League quarter-final against Athletic Club. He was then joined by 49ers technical director Greta Steinson last week as the pair took in the agonising defeat in Bilbao that ended Barry Ferguson's dreams of leading his side to a final this season. Ferguson will oversee the remaining 5 Premiership fixtures this term before the Americans appoint a permanent manager in the summer. A sporting director will also be named to oversee the beginning of a new era at Ibrox. It ends just with them saying, I'm going to finish the season as strongly as possible for myself and the players. Ferguson said in the aftermath of the controversial last 8 loss to Europa League favourites and final hosts. I've not sat down and spoken to about it, but it needs to get sorted soon because as a club, we obviously need to do a lot of work. It's getting late in the season. The club needs to get back to challenging. It ended tonight. But domestically, we need to be challenging for trophies. So in terms of my future going forward, I'll wait and see what happens there. I've given the guys a couple of days off to reflect, and I'll be coming in on Monday ready to hit the last 5 games of the season head on. Patrick Stewart, the CEO officer, is due to address supporters at a fan forum event on Wednesday evening. There's been a lot of talk about announcements of and everything by that Wednesday or during that fan forum. I think Chris's article here tells you that there's still a bit to go on that. We could be into middle of May, towards the end of May, before that goes anywhere. So, folks, how do we sum that up? There's key things in that. There's key phrases and etc. As I read, first one, understood an announcement is still several weeks away. That's just what we've discussed. I think when it comes to being mid-May, end of May, might even go into June. That's your time scale. Anything from mid-May to mid-June, I think, is where we are. I had hoped for sooner, but I think that's where we are in terms of Chris and being close to the deal. That's basically, I think, what he's saying. And it also, securing the 51%. Chris is extremely close to this. So if he's saying that, I trust that. And that means that there's no snags, there's no difficulties. And if we've got that secured, then that's a wonderful thing. So they two are key. Leeds United have an absolute. I did highlight it on social media. I think it would be really handy if Leeds United just went up, and it saved us any issues or any people worrying about Leeds maybe hindering this process. So if Leeds went up on Monday, great, because that's that. Just pushed it aside. No more questions. No more from papers about Leeds United potentially stopping that. That's not going to happen. And basically that line about it's only the legals and regulatory approvals that are holding things up as well. I think that's key. That tells us what we've been updating you as much as we can, that it's with lawyers now. And you're not going to hear much chat. I don't think silence is anything to worry about. We'd all love this deal to be done and dusted. But the most important thing for me, genuinely, is that when this does happen and when it goes through, that Greta Steinson, technical director of 49ers, their enterprise as such, that he's ready to rock and roll. He's ready to go. He's ready to make those key appointments in the manager, sporting director. These are absolutely key. We should be well on the way to that. Now, there has Jose Mourinho. I think these are easy links to make. I really do. I'm not going to get too up nor down regarding them because I think they're very simple and easy ones to make. Would I love Jose Mourinho? Of course I would, but I think he's on so many millions a year at Fenerbahce. Would I love Steven Gerrard? I don't believe in going back. I don't think it overly works. I'm a huge fan of what Barry Ferguson decided to do coming in, and I think he's got a lot of key attributes in terms of the figurehead and things like that. However, there's a lot of reservations behind that appointment as well. I think he's done fine with what he's had, but I do also think there's massive questions behind that, and you're allowed to adapt, I think, and change or just roll with the punches. There's 5 more games, things could dramatically change in how we see that position. It's not going to change in terms of Rangers and what we're going to do. But folks, what we're going to do now is we're going to come on Monday night, do a live Q&A. That gives you all a chance to ask some questions you'd like to be asked. Myself, Kenny, and Andrew will be on. And then we're going to do a takeover special. Chris Jack is going to be my guest during the week. We'll do a takeover special as well. So Chris and I'll get Chris's inside track onto the takeover. That'll be midweek on the channel. We do have a lot of interviews coming up. I've lined up 3 or 4 podcasts with ex-players. That's something you all asked for, so interviews will be coming. A few of them are very divisive. I'm looking forward to it. 1 or 2 in particular, I think will raise eyebrows, but they're stories that are really worth getting told. And that's what we're trying to do on the channel. The channel is free for absolutely everyone to view. We hope you enjoy it. But if you want to take up a membership, and I'd like to at this point bring up all of our members that have done that, they're around the bottom. You can help us from as much as 99p a month. And it's a huge help to us, because see, when it comes to doing these podcasts, or it comes to doing specials and things like that, there maybe is certain things you have to pay for, or travel expenses. I can't expect people to give up their time and things for me for this channel if they're not getting some sort of reimbursement and stuff. So all this helps us get what we need to do, and helps us as well deliver what you want. So I hope we can. I hope you all don't mind the fact that it's just been me tonight giving you a wee kind of update on my own for 20 minutes. I hope that people have enjoyed that, and I hope that you don't mind me kind of talking through that takeover updates. I'm sorry I've still got this week off. 6 months I've had it now. It's beginning to be a bit of a nightmare. But I've got an inhaler and all that, so I'll just keep at it. I'll keep at it. I promise I've not been eating any Easter eggs. I promise. Honestly. I hope you believe me. But yeah. So there we are. That's us just finishing the show. Kenny's, I can't believe it. Oh, honestly, I cannot believe it. Kenny has popped as we're just about to finish this.
I know. I've been trying to get you for the last 15 minutes. Good news, Stevie, eh?
Good news that you've left me to do this show, you mean?
Apologies, buddy, but I have been trying to
No,
get
no,
you.
listen, don't apologise, mate. It's Sunday, you're out and about. I'll very quickly get your thoughts on it. Chris is tonight. I'll run through some of the key moments from his article tonight. He says that we've secured, or the 49ers enterprise have finalised a route that will secure a 51% controlling interest in Rangers. It is understood that announcement is still several weeks. That is what I believe to be mid-May, end of May. And basically understand that reports about the Easdale's stake in RIFC having a bearing on the deal has been completely negatively false. Leeds have nothing to do with any requirement of the deal as well, Kenny, and that basically the remaining shares will be an accumulation through percentage deals with a handful of investors and a future rights issue. So there's quite a lot I've went through there, but it's all positive. We're going to do a Q&A live tomorrow, Monday night, which will give everybody a chance to get their questions in. But just quickly, Kenny, before I am not allowing you to steal my thunder of what's been a magnificent solo performance by me, but give me your thoughts.
I think, look, if Carlsberg did Easter Sundays, that's pretty much what you're looking for, isn't it? It's everything that you wanted to hear. And yeah, the rumours and the stories about, being hitches and delays and stuff like that. Look, we expected it to be towards the end of the season anyway. The fact that they're getting the 51% and this wee silly rumour about the Easdales kind of being a little bit of a hindrance is all nonsense. So, and very interesting. They say they're going to be a new share issue as well, or didn't they? I think was that right that he said that?
So that they
and
can
that-
put money straight into the club. They'll
exactly.
buy more shares, it'll dilute others, but it'll go straight into the football club, Kenny.
Well, that's fantastic. That's great to hear. And the quicker it happens, the better, Stevie. And as I say, I'm not here to rain on your parade here because I know I've left you solo. But I honestly, that's why I wanted to come on, just because when I read Chris's article there, it's exactly what you want to hear, isn't it? It's good news for Rangers, good news for the fans, and a timely kind of update. You know, you and I were talking the other night, weren't we? And we were saying that, you know, we were hoping for updates, but at least we've got one now, mate. And I'm delighted to see that that's what's happening. So good stuff.
Yeah, it certainly is, folks. As I said, we'll leave it there with our Monday night Q&A live to come. Please come and ask us some questions. We'll have that. I'll be on with Chris during midweek as well, and we'll do a takeover special, and then we'll look towards the remaining 5 fixtures towards the end of the week. Hope you enjoyed this kind of unprompted show. Thanks as ever to Kenny for briefly joining me, mate. I appreciate it. And that's not a criticism. Look, everybody's got lives. It's Easter Sunday. It's a good weekend. I really appreciate it, Kenny, if it's 10 seconds or 20 minutes. Thanks for joining me, buddy.
Listen, mate, Tracy's family, her brother and his family are up from London, so they've actually just nipped out. I'm heading out shortly as well, so I thought I'd grab 5 minutes with you while I could, mate. But well done to you for jumping on tonight, because I know you wanted to, and I know me and Andrew were telling you that we weren't, so fair play to you.
No, not at all. Look, it's just about trying to deliver to the members of the people that are supporting us and everybody that watches it. So I hope you've enjoyed. Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Black Rooster and Art of Gold, all of which I believe are staying with us for next season and future as well, which is so important to us. It's going to help us do these things that we want to do going forward and next season. It means we can take trips, we can cover away games, we can do the women's games, etc., etc. Women, incidentally, a very poor result today, beaten tonight by Hibs 2-0. They had the chance more clear and they've actually lost the league when Glasgow City slipped up at Hearts earlier on in a 0-0 draw. So I just don't think anyone wants to win that league at the moment, that's for sure. Really poor result for the women. But we'll discuss that again tomorrow night on the live Q&A, along with the takeover. And we'll do some manager stuff tomorrow night as well. Plenty to keep us occupied. Kenny, I'll see you tomorrow.
You will, mate, and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, same to you, everyone. Enjoy Easter Sunday. Thanks for joining us.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.